Bob Holt with us from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. And, Bob, you and I grew up in weather that's just like this, so I know it's been a long time since you dealt with anything like this, and maybe never. So, you know, has this just felt like another winter from your childhood, or is this the sort of thing where you look out your window and say, yeah, I don't want this anymore?
Well, yeah, you know, I was born in Michigan and lived in Wisconsin for a while, but I grew up mostly in Missouri. But, yeah, I remember being a kid in Wisconsin and Michigan, how much it snowed. We never missed school. You know, we'd see it snowing the night before, and we'd get all excited, and then the next day the roads would be clear. We'd still have to go to school. But, yeah, I mean, I think it was 19 below Monday night. I'm not sure I've ever experienced anything like that. I remember going up to Alaska, and I think it was late November back in, like, the late 90s. Arkansas played in Fairbanks, and I think it was called the Top of the World Classic. And I remember flying in, and it was before Uber and stuff. I was taking a cab to the hotel. I sure wasn't going to get a rent-a-car and drive around Fairbanks. And they had one of those digital thermometers at the airport. And this was pretty late at night, and it said 0. And I remember thinking, I said something to the cab driver about how cold it was. And he goes, this is really balmy. You should have been here last week. It was minus 30. So, I mean, for it to be minus 19, minus 20 in Arkansas, I mean, that's pretty crazy, you know. So, you know, I guess it's in the 20s today, and then, you know, obviously that's a lot better, and hopefully we can get warmer and back to normal here pretty quick.
You know, and I think that this Arkansas men's basketball team, and maybe the women's team too, though, it's a little different in the way that the two head coaches were portrayed on social media with the snow. You know, Mike falls down, and that gets tweeted out, and everybody has fun with that. And Eric Musselman leads a sledding ice capade around Bud Walton Arena. I don't know if I could see any of the other coaches in the SEC sledding with their players, but it just seems that's right in Muss's wheelhouse, man.
Yeah, I guess if I understood correctly, I think Mike Neighbors tweeted out that was him to tweet out that video. That wasn't like, you know, I don't know, somebody. I think that was from the security camera at his house. So I guess that was maybe twofold. One, a reminder to people, hey, you know, be careful out there because, you know, it may not look that bad, but it can be pretty slick. And thankfully, Mike wasn't hurt. And maybe he was just kind of poking, you know, kind of having some fun at his own expense. But yeah, Eric, he never misses a chance to have some fun with social media and interact with the fans and the students. You know, that a lot of people couldn't get out to the game the other night. But I know a lot of students were there, and when you saw Eric go, and he didn't like jump in the student section like maybe he would have been able to do in past years, but he was over there, you know, thanking them, acknowledging them. And I think he really connects. Well, he connects with everybody, but I think he really connects with the students and realizes how important, you know, they can be, especially at a time like this when you can't have, you know, anywhere near full capacity. But yeah, Eric's just a people person. He's very social, you know, whether you're talking to him or doing social media, and I think he gets it. He's having a lot of fun. I think he also realizes even if you're winning like Arkansas is, you need to market your product out there.
That's a good way to put it there, Bob, is to market the product. And I think Eric, aside from being, you know, a people person, is very media friendly. And I don't say that in like that he's an attention seeker or anything, though I do think he likes to have some of that spotlight on him. But, you know, you got to win games, and they're winning games. Lots of them. Wins in 7 of 8, 7 straight SEC wins. And it feels like, you know, as Arkansas has gotten into the polls now, you're seeing a lot more national exposure from, you know, some of the big analysts across the country that are taking notice of this Arkansas basketball team. And part of it isn't just that they're winning games, it's the way they're winning games. They play a fun brand of basketball, and it is the kind of team right now, Bob, that feels like there might be some other basketball fans across the country that are jumping on the bandwagon a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they're winning in exciting ways, and so these games are going down to the wire. Even the other night, if you just saw that score and hadn't watched the game, you think, okay, Arkansas beat Florida by 11, but we know that was, you know, with less than 5 minutes to play, Florida had taken the lead, and Arkansas had a big closeout, 14-2 run. But and they hung on or held off Florida by really shooting well at the free throw line, hitting 10 and 12 in the last 136. Yeah, Kentucky, I mean, it's obviously not a typical Kentucky team, but they still have a lot of talent. And Kentucky, that was probably one of the best games they played when Arkansas went in there. And Arkansas lost the lead, but found a way to recover and win the game. The Missouri game went overtime. The Auburn win where they were down 19 came back, and then it looked like Auburn might win at the end, and they got a defensive stop. And they're winning. They're playing an exciting brand of basketball. And the best marketing is winning. But in this day and age, when there's so many other entertainment options on there and every game is on TV, I think you still got to do some things to try to stand out, which, I think Eric gets that.
Bob Holt joining us here on Halftime. Bob, one last basketball question, then we'll ask you a couple things about the Razorback baseball team and this press conference just came across. The one thing that I've really taken from this basketball team, and you've seen it these past 3 games with Kentucky, Missouri, and then you saw it again against Florida, it's free throw shooting. But the biggest thing that I'm taking away, Bob, this team is learning how to finish at the end of game situations. And while it may not be the prettiest of times, they're still figuring out a way to ice the game, win the ball game, and that'll prove big things as we move later on into this SEC schedule and heading into the tournament.
Well, yeah, they're doing what it takes to win, whether it's hitting free throws,
right?
Getting defensive stops, getting rebounds. You think about the Kentucky game. Kentucky, Arkansas, I think had been up by 12, and then Kentucky, rallies and they're shooting, threes out of their mind. But, it was a smart strategy by Arkansas to let Kentucky take those threes, but Kentucky was burning them. And then Devo Davis, Eric Musselman trusts his true freshman to take the ball, to the basket. And he doesn't make the shot, but he gets a shot up, and then Tate's able to get a rebound, then get fouled, and then hit free throws, and then Devo gets the steal at the end. But a lot of things have to happen for them to win that game, whether it's an offense or defense, and free throws. And so they're just doing a lot of good things. They got the big thing with Florida. They hit their free throws. They also got stops, at the end. So. And they got stops, Xavier Pinson is a really good three-point shooter. Had a when there was a 3-point game in overtime in the final seconds at Missouri, but Davis got out there on him, made him take a real tough shot. I think he partially blocked it. So they're doing things on both ends to win these tight games for sure.
And also, Bob, we just got done, or actually I said you just got off the Zoom press conference with Dave Van Horn previewing the weekend baseball series down in Arlington, Texas at the Texas Rangers ballpark. Outside of the pitching rotation, which we've been speaking about quite a bit with Peyton Paulette leading things off on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, what else did you learn from DVH and this Zoom press conference that just concluded?
Actually, Zebulon Vermillion's going to start the first game against Texas Tech, which got moved from Friday to Saturday, and Paulette's going to start Sunday against Texas. And then Lockhart, the transfer from Houston, is going to start Monday against TCU. But the big thing we learned is that they're still planning to play. I mean, obviously, I don't know if Texas has been declared a disaster area, but obviously people down there are really, are hurting because they don't have power, they don't have water. The groceries aren't stocked. I don't think are very well stocked. I mean, it's really, a disaster down there in a lot of ways. And so you wonder, well, gosh, are they going to be able to play this tournament? But Dave Van Horn said something could change. But as of right now, they've been told, everything's okay at the stadium. I guess the hotels, the teams are going to stay up, must be okay. So to me, the big news was they're still planning to play. And then I think, we got the pitching rotation, and it's kind of interesting because, Connor Nolan and Patrick Wicklander were guys that started as freshmen, once the SEC got going, and then they were scheduled to be in the rotation right before the SEC opening series in Mississippi State got canceled and the rest of the season got canceled. So to me, that's interesting. It speaks to the depth and the development of some of these pitchers. That doesn't mean Nolan and Wicklander won't get back in the weekend rotation, but to me, that was a pretty interesting development that we kind of had seen coming, I think, with what had been going on. But and we know Matt Goodhart's maybe be able to play some first. He's going to start off as a DH. He's had the shoulder injury he's been dealing with. He had surgery, but he said he's having to play some defense too. But the main thing is he's penciled in that 3-hole spot, and as a DH, and he's obviously a premium hitter for him.
They've said anything about who will be at first base? We've heard a lot about potentially Cullen Smith being over there, or Brady Slayton.
Yeah, Dave mentioned all those guys as well as Goodhart. He indicated Goodhart could place him first. I think Cullen Smith would probably be the first guy, but I guess we don't know for sure. And I think the rest of the defense is pretty well set. I think it'd probably be, same group of guys. Obviously, Jalen Battles would be the new shortstop thing for Casey Martin. He's got rave reviews. He's a big, rangy guy. And everybody talks about their defense up the middle with Opitz and, Morris second, Battle at shortstop, Jalen Battle at shortstop, and then, Franklin is, a great center fielder, and just, he's getting a lot of preseason All-American attention, going to be a high draft pick by all accounts. So they just look like they're really loaded. I mean, it's a lot of depth, and a lot of teams are loaded because the way the draft was, they're getting guys back they didn't expect, either on their team or, JUCO or high school signees that might have signed professionally. I think most every team is deeper and more experienced, more talented than they normally would be. And obviously Arkansas is always good, always talented, but maybe even more so this year than usual.
Yeah, it feels like in order to get to the College World Series this year, you can't just be good. You got to be great. And I think Arkansas could be great, but we'll find out in the next 4.5 months. Bob, appreciate your time, man. Thanks, you. Have a great rest of the week.